Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. I am Gunnar Eos, and we are here once again at another LogiCast podcast. I'm here with the usual suspects, Mr. Blanka Kong, Mr. Esoteric, and Mr. Hado Wolf. Today's subject is quite fitting, seeing as we're entering the spooky month, aka October. It is horror moments in either your standard horror game or in other games that made you shit yourself. Now, I'll start off. I'm a pretty big horror buff when it comes to movies and video games. So if there's like a good horror game, I'm always down. My biggest moment that I'll never forget is coming from a first person shooter, funny enough. Um, some of you might be familiar with it, watching. It's called the Fear series. Started on
Mm.
PC. They eventually ported it to consoles. Lasted 3 games. Was a pretty good series. Three was a little lacking, but anyway, that's besides the point. My horror moment comes from Fear 2 specifically. So without getting too far into the game, I'm a super soldier. I'm trying to hunt down a ghost essentially, and the scene that got me takes place in a building. This ghost is like a psychic phenomenon. She can kill people with her mind, make you see things, all this crazy stuff. So I enter a hallway. It's really dark. All I have is a flashlight on my gun. Everything's really dark. So I see a blood trail, like a typical horror movie victim. I follow the blood trail. Blood trail leads to a woman's bathroom. Side note: the ghost you're following is a female. Go into the bathroom, follow the blood trail. The blood trail conveniently takes me to the last stall at the end of the bathroom. I follow it. I should just say that the bathroom is completely dark. All I have is my flashlight. I go to the last stall, my finger on the trigger, open the stall, just ammo. It's a dead body on the toilet stall, but there's just ammo. I'm like, okay, sweet, just ammo. Mind you, this is silent the whole time. There's no creepy music, no wailing ghosts, nothing. Grab the ammo, and then when I turn my character 180, there is a woman half sticking out of the exit to the bathroom. So half of her body is behind the wall and half of her is visible. I freak the fuck out and I unload a whole clip in her direction. I just hold the R2 button and just unload it. And then when I redirect my camera, she's gone. So that shit scared the shit out of me because it's a ghost. I had this gun, but it doesn't mean anything. It's not gonna hurt her. And then after I'm done being scared, I laugh because that's why they gave me the ammo. They gave me the ammo because they knew people like me were gonna unload a whole clip, and I needed that ammo because I just wasted it. But to this day, that always gets me because it was a legitimate oh shit moment because it wasn't creepy music, it wasn't a cutscene, it wasn't like a loud noise. It was literally silence, and there's just a woman standing in the fucking entranceway to the bathroom. The only exit, the only entrance and exit. So,
Typical
but
American response.
yes, do it. I unloaded. I unloaded on that pixels. It was insane. Great games. Fear 1 and 2. Check it out if you ever get the chance. But to this day, that moment will stick with me. So, in that vein, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Hado Wolf, and he's going to enlighten us on his oh shit moment.
Um, I have well, there's a few video games I've played that
Oh, you're breaking up.
me
Wolf,
that
you're
really
breaking
stood
up.
out to me because was oh, 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. 1 second. Uh,
So while Wolf
Okay.
gets his connection figured out, I did play Fear 1. I wanted to play 2, but I remember Fear 1. I haven't thought about that game in years, but you reminded me. I was like, oh shit, that was a scary game. Well, it wasn't too
Yeah, it's
scary, but like there were definitely spooky
no,
moments.
yeah. Fear One had a lot of what I call PC shooter mentality because back in the day, before shooters got as they are now, shooters, a lot of shooters, the AI would kind of, I always described it as the AI would know their AI, so they wouldn't try to get cover and avoid being shot like modern AI in video games do nowadays. They just run up to you. They'll have like a shotgun or an AK, and they'll just run up to you. And Fear had a lot of that, but Fear 2 had more of the modern shooter mechanics, and that game had some real good horror moments in it. It was a really well done game.
Am
3,
I sounding better now?
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
you're good now.
much better.
Oh, okay. So now I know. All right. So my horror moment, because I don't play horror games. I'm not a fan of them. I don't believe in horror movies. I don't see the purpose of
You
scaring
don't
yourself.
believe in them, as in you don't think they're real?
No, I don't. No,
Okay.
I don't. I don't believe that I need to waste my time watching
Okay, fair enough.
them. um, I just don't see the sense in wanting to scare yourself, so I don't do those.
Okay.
But the horror moment for me that will always stand out, it was BioShock, the first one. The scene that introduces the enemy called the Big Daddy. I think that's what they were called.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Big Daddies, yeah.
Yeah. So the scene sets you up because it introduces the little girl first, which typically seems docile. And, like, okay, well, maybe she is an enemy because up until the point where you meet them, there's nothing in that game that's on your side. So anything that moved, I automatically assume was an enemy.
Fair enough, yeah.
So it's a corridor. If I remember it right, it's like a corridor or like a hallway, and it intersects with another one going through it. So she appears first, and she's just walking along, and I see her in the distance, and I'm like, okay, hmm, she's little. It's a little girl in a dress. Is she bad or is she good? Is she going to give me a power up or is she going to take away my power ups? Like, I don't know what she's going to do at this point because BioShock is one of the most random games that I've ever played
I like
when
how
it comes to enemy
Wolf's
diversity.
I like how Wolf's first response is like, "Do I need to light this little girl up, or are we cool?"
Which one is it? So, a little afterwards, the Big Daddy shows up behind her, like it, because it was like a protector of hers and
Yeah.
of theirs, because I believe it was multiple girls that did it. It was like
Yes.
multiple of them.
Yeah.
So he shows up, and I'm like, oh, big tank-like looking thing with many eyes and a drill for a hand. Yeah, this bitch is an enemy. So I aim the gun at her, and as I aim the gun, and I guess the gun makes a noise, he notices me, and as I blink, because my eyes get dry from looking at the TV, he was right there and rushed my enemy and rushed my character. I jumped so hard, I threw the controller at the TV. And my brother comes running in. He's like, "Oh, you okay? You okay? You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just need a moment. I need a moment." Okay. And that was it. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna give this game about a week before I get back to it." And yeah, that was my scare moment. BioShock is an amazing, I think there's three of them.
Hmm.
All three games I've loved. I liked. BioShock Infinite to me was the weakest of the three, but I liked all three. I've really only finished the first one and BioShock Infinite. However, yeah, if you like cheap scares, BioShock is it because that's all that game gives you after you meet the first big baddie. That was my horror moment, anyways. I'm moving it on to Esoteric.
Okay, so I've never gotten to play Fear, which I heard was a really good game. Did play the demo on the PS3, but I didn't play the full game, and I never got to play BioShock as well. So I need to up
Oh
my
man, You're missing
quite a
out. You
lot
should
of games.
play. Fear is one thing, but you should really play Bioshock, especially like 1 and 2. I agree with Wolf on the third entry being a little weak, but definitely want to play. Definitely one if you play any
The
of them.
first one is
Yeah,
definitely
one.
recommended, highly recommended.
Yeah, if you only ever play one of them, play the first one.
Well, I have the trilogy, so I'm definitely planning on playing that, and I also want to play Dead Space as well. So, um, that's plan in the future or whatever. So my horror moment is a blast from the past, and a lot of you guys already know. I'm sure the viewers would know as well. The very first Resident Evil. So for those of you who grew up on Resident Evil, the camera angles that you guys got, the whole 3D aspect, that was non-existent in the first three iterations when they came out. So for those of you that do know and have played it, I'm talking about the part where you're in the mansion in the first one, and then there's this long corridor, right? So you open the
Horror
door, you
games
see
and
the
corridors.
corridor. Yeah, it's crazy, right? So I'm young at the time, so I'm like, whatever, it's just a corridor. So the corridor consists of, on the left hand side, like I remember it so vividly, it's ridiculous. The left hand side is nothing but walls, and on the right side you have like windows placed in like certain increments, like they're well placed, well distanced and so on. So I get there and I start running. Out of nowhere, a goddamn dog just jumps through the window and starts chasing me. So I dropped the controller like Wolf did because I was like, holy shit, what is going on, right? And I was scared shitless, right? So another thing, same corridor, because Resident Evil did this really well. Um, there's a time where you have to run through that same corridor again. And I'm expecting the dogs. So I'm like, okay, let me start booking it. Let me just start running. Next thing you know, because of how the camera angles were fixed, you don't see the ceiling. All you see is a bunch of big ass spiders dropping from the ceiling, and
Oh
one landed on
hell
me and
no!
killed me.
Giant
No 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 no
tarantulas.
no no
Mhm.
no!
Yeah,
Yeah.
giant tarantulas. And
Tarantulas?
Yeah.
Oh
yep,
no! Oh no
yep.
no no! That's power button. That's
That time it was power button because I was like, nah, I couldn't do this. Like, you don't see it because the camera angles are so fixed that you can't see the ceiling. So as I was running through the corridor expecting the dogs, out of nowhere was the big ass tarantulas. I believe there were two in that room. Not only were they big, but they were also fast. So that was my first horror moment for this. It really scared me shitless. Like,
spiders.
for
God,
that
that's
game.
ridiculous.
And the way they attack too is they'll take two of their legs up and they'll just like run at you and try to like stab you. It's so
Yeah.
like it's
Creepy.
very creepy.
Hmm.
And at that time, the graphics were, top notch. So now playing it, if I were to, I'd be like, what the hell is this? Whatever. But back then, when it's like things were like well
1996,
modeled,
very different
exactly. It's
time.
like, exactly. But I'm gonna move it on to you, Kong.
All right, so my entry also happens to be a Resident Evil game. Not the first one. The first one definitely I've had scare moments, but I had a feeling somebody was gonna go Resident Evil. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go Resident Evil, but I'm gonna go for the one that happened in my favorite Resident Evil game, and that's Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So the year was 1999. It was Christmas, and my aunt, she got me Resident Evil 3. I was only 10 years old at the time, so there was really no. It was such an irresponsible purchase, but it is what it is. It was a different time, and I was so excited to. I didn't even know it existed, right? Like, this is before the internet was what it is today. This is before I didn't have gaming magazines or anything like that. I just went down to my grandmother's house and there was a gift. I opened it. It was Resident Evil 3. I was like, holy shit, there's three of these things? Because I only played the first one. And I only got to play it because a friend like let me borrow it. So I never really got to fully enjoy the game. But this was my copy of a Resident Evil game. So of course I was amped to play it. I go into like my cousin's room to play the game and I'm booting it up. And I remember my uncles who also played They were like hounding me, like let me play too, let me play too. I was like, no, I gotta get first dibs on this, right? I don't usually get that, right? Like as a kid, you know, like you have control now. Like I'm the captain now. Like that didn't happen, right? So I was very excited to play the game. So I started playing the game, and it was intense. But I wasn't 8. I was now 10. So I felt like I can handle this game. So I'm playing through the game or whatever. I encounter Nemesis. It's scary, but it's like okay, I saw you on the cover, so I'm not surprised. So whatever. I'm playing through the game, and I'm in the police station at this point, and it's getting really late, like way past my bedtime. Like maybe midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm still playing the game, and I remember I completed the police station. Like I did all the major things in the police station, and I was on my way out. I saved the game. I was like, okay, now I got all the stuff. I can leave the police station. Cool. So I start leaving the police station, and if you've played Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, not the remake, the original one on PlayStation 1, there's a that stretch of time in the police station, you don't encounter Nemesis. Like he leaves you alone up until a certain point. And I'm not making this up. This really happened. So he crashes through a window, like out of nowhere, right? And as soon as that happened in the game, like of course that scared me. But as soon as that happened, there was like a stray cat near the fire escape that like ran across the window. And so all I saw was a shadow at the corner of my eye, Nemesis coming out of the window, the music, dun, 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 stars, and him beating the fuck out of me with a rocket launcher. This is the first time you encounter him with the rocket launcher. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it was just too many things at once. And I was also sleep deprived at this point because it was super late and my body wasn't used to it. And I remember throwing my controller at the PlayStation itself. Like, I just threw it. And I died, of course. And I'm looking around to see, like, am I being attacked for real? And my grandmother came in. She's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing, the game. And then I turned off the game for the rest of the night. Went to sleep. So that was one of my many oh shit moments as a kid on the PlayStation 1. But one that I thought was pretty funny. So passing it back to Mr. Gunner.
All right. This one is funny enough because Wolf already mentioned the game. I have a Bioshock moment again from the first game.
That game has a lot of moments.
It does. It really does. So, but you know, as you guys know, and the viewers probably know, Bioshock, at least the first one, was kind of slower paced. So it was a lot more survival horror type.
Mm.
So they had like a bunch of like secret rooms you can go, stuff you access, and you get these power ups called plasmids. That's how you shoot fire, you shoot bees, you do all this wild shit. And there were a couple of them that were scattered throughout any given map. So you know, if you looked hard enough, you can get yourself a free upgrade. So I'm a big fan of, you know, turning over every rock type of gameplay. So it's a part in the game where you meet some crazy dude. They're all fucking crazy, but at least this one doesn't attack you on sight. He wants you to take pictures of different people after you kill them because he's a sick fuck. So I'm in that area. It's in the game. It's a city. It's that part of the city. It's like the recreational area. That's where they have shows and movies. So it's all like actor themed and whatnot. So I'm searching, going in random places. I enter this really large area that's partially flooded. For those who don't know, the game takes place in a city underwater. I don't know.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I hate large bodies of water. So
yeah.
You didn't know
So
that, Esoteric? You didn't know that the game was underwater?
no, I had no idea.
oh yeah,
I never
yeah.
played it. Never
Oh
played
well,
Well,
it.
now you know.
spoiler alert, I guess.
Oh my god.
So like that room is just well, it's not empty, but it's a large room, water like partially flooded, and there's just a window displaying the dark ocean. But in this room filled are what I thought were mannequins.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. Wolf knows where I'm going. I thought they were mannequins. They were just they were in like ballerina positions. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I see again, the motherfuckers are clever. There's a plasmid all the way at the other end of the room. So I'm like, Well, I want that. So I get my handy dandy shotgun ready and I walk to it, pick up the plasmid. I'm like, oh, cool, free upgrade. Turn around, they've all changed positions, all
Mm-hmm.
of them. And I'm like,
Wow.
nah, nah, fuck this. So I when I change positions, I freeze. I freeze in the fucking real world. And I get out of my stupor and I immediately turn and just blast one in the stomach. And it fucking bleeds. And then they all start moving. And I'm just running and gunning. 'Cause this enemy
Mm-hmm.
is creepy. They don't talk because their
Mm-hmm.
entire body is encased in wax. So they can't
Oh
talk.
my god.
They don't talk. They don't scream when you shoot. They don't scream when they attack. And they can climb the fucking wall.
Yep.
So,
And if they're sneaking up on you and you turn around and don't get aggressive, they'll stay in one place.
right.
Damn,
Yeah.
they sound like those shits from, I don't know if you guys ever watched Doctor Who, but
Right, yeah, that sweet screaming statue or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, these things were creepy because they never made a sound. So I'm freaking the fuck out, and I shoot at everything that is now moving. I just run up the stairs and keep it moving. And after that, I'm like, you know what? Auto save. I'll come back to you. I signed up for a FPS. I didn't sign up for this. Like, dude, that was another oh shit moment. Bioshock One has a ton of them. Could probably make a whole podcast just on that, but yeah, that made me freeze, and I was just a kid sitting in my living room at the time. So yeah, that's another one for the Bioshock book. But I will move it over to Mr. Wolf.
Before I get to my game, to go back to Gunner's situation, I gave that game 2 weeks. It took me almost a half a year to beat Bioshock because I kept putting it down. I needed to continuously build courage.
I remember
That
asking you because I think I
that
beat it
scene,
before you, and I was like, "Did you beat it yet?"
you
And you were
did,
like,
and you
"No."
started after
That's
me.
funny.
You and Blanka Kong started it after me.
Hmm.
Actually, he bought the game after me, I believe, and I borrowed the game from a friend of ours. And in 6 months, it took me to beat that game. When I came across those wax things, I was just like, "Oh no, no, I'm over it. I'm over it." And I gave it about 2 weeks before I went back to it. But anyhow, my other one was one of my favorite series ever. It's the Metroid series,
Know where he going with this
and
one?
it's specifically Metroid Fusion, which is I believe it's I don't know where this new one coming out is gonna lie, but I believe Fusion is the latest in her story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So her suit gets infected by these type of bacteria that brings the suit to life. So classic Metroid, it's either a clone or a being that's stronger than you that's chasing you pretty much through the whole game. Um, so your suit, your power suit, is now your main enemy. And of course, classic Metroid, and a lot of you are gonna know this when you play this new one coming out, should you. You start off weak and you gradually become strong. But in Metroid Fusion, you interact with your power suit or your evil power suit more when you're weak. So I remember I didn't want to put the game down. I needed to pee. Um, and I was like, okay, I just finished beat the boss. I got my first missile upgrade. So when Samus opens her missiles on
Did it get you, Wolf?
I'm back, motherfucker. So it looks like we lost Wolf for a second.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think he's having some technical difficulties there.
there.
Um,
So I went ahead and I'm like, okay, I need to use the bathroom. I know I got to take my shower. There's other things I want to do, but I really need to save the game. So I'm running around. I'm running around. I'm trying to find a safe point. Um, and I finally figured out, okay, so the safest safe point is here, 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 here. I'm going. So I'm running. I'm running. I'm running. I'm running. I'm running. I enter a room, and the clone or the power suit is in the room already. So I'm like, okay, I can't fight this thing. So stupid me um decide to approach it too close, and it triggers her. It triggers the suit, and it starts to chase you. Mind you, I'm holding urine at this moment. So,
Sounds like you're in trouble.
so at the same time, I'm trying to escape and I'm running through different rooms. It's chasing me down. It has all her best weapons. It has her super speed, her powerful arm cannon. And I finally get into a room where there is this little space that I can crouch and hide in. And she enters after me. She walks up to the wall. She doesn't know that I'm below her. She walks up to the wall. She waits. She waits. She then turns around and proceeds to leave the room. So my dumbass decide, okay, if she wants to be a bad bitch, I'm gonna activate my arm cannon and see if my missiles will work on her. So I turn on the arm cannon, which makes the safety pin kind of clicking sound, and she turns back around. The moment she did that, I felt a little twinkle in my underwear because almost, I really felt like I was gonna piss myself because I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this fight. Like, I'm not ready for this fight. I have 5 missiles, and if none of them work on her, I'm screwed. And I didn't want to die because I would have got a game over. I would have lost all my progress. I needed to pee. I was like, oh God, I'm not ready for this. So I wait. I hold the button, and I wait and I wait, and she's just standing there. She decides to scan the room. She decides to walk around, and I'm like, I need to pee. Leave the freaking room. Like, just leave. She finally leaves. I'm able to save, and I go use the bathroom. That is one moment in video game history where I can say was not only stressful in both the real world and the video game world, but now I know I could hold my pee for over 30 minutes. So it's like,
We got a new skill out of the
Oh my
deal.
God! Wow.
I developed a new skill.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
Bloop.
um, your turn, Esoteric.
Cool, cool. Before I go, just to give you guys, for those of you who don't know much about Metroid, a little backstory, because I'm sure y'all probably like, well, why the hell is your suit chasing you? So there's a parasite that actually, the suit had to be surgically removed from the main
Her
character
body.
Samus. So with that being said, what the parasite does, it mimics the DNA of whatever object it comes across, and that's how it became a walking, talking suit. Well, they don't talk in the game, but whatever. Um, so yeah. Um, so my next scary moment, it was my introduction into the Monster Hunter series. As you as you guys know, we are very like avid gamers when it comes to Monster Hunter. We love the series, and I was the last one to be introduced to the series. Got introduced to two. Wasn't really feeling it. Didn't have enough time to get acclimated to the controls, and finally got to play Try. So um, so I was hunting with Kong one day. I believe the rest of the guys was there. We was online, which was another like plus for like Monster Hunter Try. And it's my first like hunt. I'm being shown the ropes. I'm like, okay, I'm really excited. The game looks hella interesting. Cool, cool. I missed out on group activity with my boys. So let me try, right? So Kong, being the sadist he is, he tells me, "Oh, you just have to go and gather some things," and he's showing me the ropes, whatever. So he leads me into this
I mean, did
room
I lie?
with like it's like a big ass cave, huh?
Did I lie? You don't gather things in Monster Hunter?
You do gather things, but you didn't like prep me for what was gonna happen next,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So you know, um, he's like, listen, you need to go to this area, um, and like kind of scope out the place, get the items you need, and so on. Because it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a kind of sort of gathering quest. It wasn't a hunt quest at the time. We had to prep for whatever we was hunting. So I go in the cave. I'm like, okay, this seems simple. This is my first time starting, whatever, cool. So I'm looking around, and you know how you have the camera angle where you see your character's like front body, like the front side of their body and stuff like that, and you see everything behind them. As I'm rotating the camera, I see this big ass long creature just hanging from the ceiling, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And I just ran out of the goddamn cave because I didn't know what to do. So, you know, um, I asked Kong, I'm like, "What the hell is that?" He's like, "Oh, that's Giganox." I'm like, "What the hell is a Giganox?" He's like, "The monster you saw, duh." Mind you, this guy did not tell me about, using a torch. He just set me in literally blindfolded, and that shit was just hanging from the ceiling. It had the glowing purple eyes and shit, like it was Batman or whatever, just hanging there watching me, and I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? But you know, it was a great game. I enjoyed it, and
It
then
made you strong.
it definitely did. I heard he put you in a worse predicament, so
Yeah,
it's
he did.
okay. But yeah, that was my like intro into the series, and I've been playing ever since.
Good way to
In
start.
my defense, I was just looking to strengthen you, man. I wanted to see.
Yeah,
I wanted
okay.
to see if you could really hang. That's it. Just a little hazing. No big deal. It's just a Giganox. Whatever. And the funny thing is, this is the first Monster Hunter game where I think the first and only Monster Hunter game where they had torches. So these caves were exceptionally dark. Like
Yeah.
compared to other like Monster Hunter games, like you could barely see anything. And so the torch mechanic, I was hoping he wouldn't figure it out too soon and work like a charm. He ran in there gathering bones or whatever, and there was Giganox, and I knew he was there because I took a Psycho Serum, and I was like, oh, perfect. Yeah, just go to Area 7. Just right through there. Just right through there. You'll see it. It's a little bone area. You got it. Ah, it's pretty dark in here. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Just keep going.
I don't know.
Yeah, he did that to me as well. That was also my initiation test into the series with Monster Hunter 2. So if you ever play Monster Hunter with Blanka Kong, expect that he's going to throw you
Nah,
in
not
some
not
deep shit.
anymore. Not anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, because back in the days, I've heard that he likes to put like mask in front of doors and shit and scare people with those.
That's a good fucking prank. But all right, so on to my next moment. So this one I guess was more recent, because it's a PS4 game, and it's not even a game; it's a demo. That was never made into a game, and that is PT.
Ah, yeah.
So,
PT,
mm-hmm. So PT,
never heard of.
never heard of it, eh? Hmm.
Not
Mm-mm.
physical therapy.
So PT was supposed to be it stands for playable teaser, and it was supposed to be the teaser playable demo to Silent Hills, which never got made because Kojima ended up leaving Konami, and that game just once he left, they left it behind. But in that trailer, or not trailer, but that demo, you can't download it anymore. It's been taken off the store. So if you have a PlayStation with that demo on it, that PlayStation is exponentially worth more money just because of that demo. Like, because people want to play it. So it's that, impactful. So anyway, I hear about this game or about this demo at work. People are telling me, "Oh, did you download PT?" And I'm like, "What the hell is PT?" And they tell me, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And clearly, Wolf, you haven't played it. You haven't seen anything of it. I have a video I'll send you later, so you can, see what I'm talking about. But it's I guess you would call it a psychological experience. So you're playing with this guy character, and you wake up, and you're just in this dark room, and there's a door. You go toward the door, you open the door, there's a long hallway. It's like, okay. So you walk down the long hallway, and there's like pictures, like old, like 1950 or 1960 styles, like portraits on the wall, things like that. You're walking through the hallway, and then you hear like radio static, and like you hear like news reports and stuff. in your headset if you're playing with a headset. And you're just walking through and like, okay, and then once you get to the end of the hallway, you turn and then there's just another hallway, right? And you go, okay. You walk down that hallway, you open the door, and then there's a flight of steps. You go down the flight of steps, there's another door. You open that door, you're back in the room that you started in. Okay. You walk to the next door, the same hallway from the beginning. Okay. Walk down the hallway, walk down the other hallway, walk through the door, walk down the flight of steps, walk into that other room, and then you open that door and same hallway again. That's the entire demo.
Oh, at this point, to me, it's just you looping into the same hallway over and over and over
Yes.
again.
No.
So at that point, for me, I would just be like, okay, what?
That was my
Like,
reaction to him. Like, this is a kind of weird, but all right, sure. Can't afford to make new levels. All right, whatever. So, walking through the hallway, every time you loop through the hallway, you're hit with more information and more things start to happen. So, I'm playing through the game and I'm playing with a headset. I'm playing at night. It's like 1:00 in the morning or something like that. And so it's very atmospheric. This is a game that or a demo that came out in like 2016, 2015, 2016, something like that. So at the time, this was very impressive, and it still holds up very well today. Like,
Yeah.
if you look at it today, it's like, whoa, that looks like a game that's coming out for PS5 or something like that. It looks really good. So I'm playing through it, which is just me walking through this hallway over and over and over again. And then finally, I get to a point where the right door on the second hallway creaks open. That never happened before.
nope,
And I'm like,
that's enough.
So I get closer to the door, and then all I see is just a white figure and the door slam. And I'm like, huh. Okay.
That
Oh
you,
my god.
that's your response. Your response is okay. That's his response. You guys hear this? That is his response. The door creaks open after 20 minutes of looping into the same fucking hallway, and his response is okay. Like,
Okay.
So,
what?
you said it yourself. You don't like scaring yourself, and you don't,
No.
but I do. So that's the difference. So I go, okay, it's getting interesting. So I keep looping through this hallway, and now the radio static of the story, of like the news story, is starting to like crinkle a little more, and now you hear like satanic like voices in between the reporter telling the story. So it's like, today we had a murder and 57867, and we had and it was like, what the fuck? Okay.
And you kept playing?
Of course I did.
Well,
So,
he's stressing me out.
and I'm
I've
just
never
telling
heard
you
of it
about it.
before.
So anyway, walking through, I'm like, okay. So I keep walking through, keep looping. And then in this particular loop, the hallway is lit in red. And I'm like, okay. Let's keep going. So I go through and you get to the center, and like to the like I go down the first hallway and I enter that corner and I turn and I see something hanging from the ceiling. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I get,
It wasn't a chandelier?
nope. It was,
Okay, then you should have turned off the game.
well, I did it. So it was a giant refrigerator chained up to the ceiling, and it was swinging back and forth, and there was blood pouring from it. So I look at it, I go, okay. So I'm like, all right, let's keep going. So I loop a few more times, and then this next loop, there's no lights. All the lights are off.
Oh, this shit is stressful.
And I'm
This
like,
shit is stressful. Fuck. No.
okay. So now I go through, right? And this is all off memory. So some of the sequences might be off, but this all happened. So I'm walking through. I passed by that door that had previously creaked open, and this time it opened wide open. And I'm like,
And you didn't go back through the door you came
you can't. The game doesn't allow
Oh,
you
you
to.
can't.
Yeah, you have to move forward.
Every electronic ever made has a power button. I'm just saying.
So anyway,
I'm just saying.
I go into the room and it's a bathroom. And now all of a sudden I hear a baby crying, and I'm like, and like I heard babies crying before, like in the radio transmission, but now it's like very clear, and I'm like, where the fuck is that thing sound coming from? So I go into the bathroom, the door slams shut, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm stuck in here, and it's like pitch black. So I'm looking around in the bathroom trying to investigate or whatever. There's like a peephole or whatever. I look through, I don't see anything. Okay, cool. And I go to the bathroom sink, and there's a fetus in the sink, crying, and that's where the crying is coming from. And I'm like, what the hell? That's gross. And so
That's some madman knowledge shit right there.
So
Bloodborne type stuff.
I'm seeing it. I'm like, and I you could zoom in. Like, you can't interact with anything really, unless the game allows you to, but you can zoom in. So I zoom in on the baby, and it's just like, baby, it's a fetus, whatever, and it's like crying or whatever. And then I zoom back out, and in the mirror of the sink, I see somebody behind me, and I go,
No. No.
so I turn around, and there's nothing there, and I'm like,
I'm turning on the lights. I was in the back. I'm turning on the lights. No, that's
okay.
That is insane. No. I can't.
So there's more. There's more.
There's more.
There's more.
After that,
There's more. So anyway, I go, okay.
You tolerate all of this.
So the door opens, and I'm able to leave the bathroom. So I leave, go through a few more loops, like maybe 2 more loops, 3 more loops, I don't know. Get to the next loop, the door opens again. I go, okay. I go inside, and then the baby is in the sink, and this time he stands up. He's not like wiggling anymore. He just kind of like sits up like, hey, like he has a real voice now. And I'm like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Oh, this is the Kojima shit starting to seep in.
So he's like, hey, I heard she was real hot. And he was just monologuing. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I'm just like mesmerized by this little fetus with this deep voice. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I leave. More loops. And this is how they get you, right? Like, you get used to this loop. Like, okay, I've been here before, and you just kind of get deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. And then on this particular loop, I get to through the first hallway. I turn, and then I see the lights flicker, and I see I don't know, 7-foot tall figure. It looks like a woman,
Wow.
and her head is cocked like this, and I'm like, hello. So I'm like, there's only one way to go, and it's forward. So I'm like, so I walk forward, and she does this weird like jitter effect, and then it runs toward me and then disappears.
Oh no. No.
She doesn't do damage to me.
What's the point? But what's the point? You're giving yourself a heart attack for no reason. What if you had a heart attack? What if you were into cardiac arrest?
Well,
I'm still here.
Podcast to be 1 member short.
I'm still here.
I gotta watch
Really?
the YouTube video.
I'll send you a
I'm
good.
not watching shit.
I will send you all a
Yeah,
good
I
one.
missed this.
You never played a gunner? I thought you tried it.
I never. No, I
Dude,
never
it's
played it. I
it's an
missed it.
experience.
God.
There's a reason
Watch
why
YouTube.
PS4s with this game on it go for like $800 because you can't get this game anywhere else. And the
It
PS,
just makes me really salty against fucking Konami.
well, that too, but that's a whole different story. So anyway, I'm almost done. So that happens, and I'm like, holy shit, that was intense. Okay, keep looping. So I keep looping, and apparently to beat the game, that you have to listen to the transmission and pick up on clues and zoom in on specific parts of the hallways to pick up to be able to like create this collage of a picture. The game doesn't tell you that. People just figure this out playing the game over and over and over and over again. So I failed. Like I looped too much. So I didn't get to experience the whole demo because I technically didn't win. So when you lose, the tall lady just fucking kills you. Like, she just shows up, and it's very sudden, and there's like a close-up shot of her. Like, it's just a decomposed, Japanese woman with like yellow teeth and like white eyes, and she's like smiling at you as she's stabbing you or whatever, and that's it. And I'm like, holy shit. So once that happened, I was like, okay, well, I'm done. And I turned off the game and I just kind of sat quietly in the room for like a few minutes. I was like, I played this for an hour and a half. And I just kind of had like a quick, shiver. I was like, okay, that was interesting. That was it. And I wasn't scared in the same way like in the first story where I jumped and threw a controller. It was like this slow build up. And there was a few like little scares, but nothing like really blatant and like cheap scare like, nothing like that. It was a slow build. It was just the game creeping its way into my mind. And
That's a good
and
horror.
then it hit me at the end and I was like, fuck. Like it made me sit down and think about it. I was like, whoa, this shit is crazy. So I will find some really good videos. Again, these videos are like 6 years ago. These reaction videos. So I'll share them with you guys so that you can watch and enjoy it. But it's one hell of a fucking experience. So that is my second entry for horror moments.
I can only
Yeah.
imagine if the game was made and with VR capabilities.
Forget
now.
about it. Resident Evil 7 has nothing on what that game could have been in my mind.
Maybe Capcom
Yeah.
lucked out.
Maybe. But anyway, on to you, Gunnar, if you have another one.
Yeah, this is my last one. And it's fucking like there's no way I can follow that up. That like
Sorry.
so
Nope. Nope.
I got this is like small potatoes compared to that.
Yep. He had the steak and broccoli and
Yeah,
and everything. The rice.
I have the
Yep.
microwave dinner. This is the
Yeah.
microwave dinner.
The Hungry Man version.
Yeah. This is an older one because I was younger, and this game is older. Um, it's Fatal Frame on PlayStation 2. Yeah, great games. But well, quickly for those that don't know, the synopsis is I'm like gonna super uh spark notes this one. Little Japanese girl, you find your way into a haunted house. Ghosts are in the house. You have your only defense is a magical, for lack of a better word, a magical camera.
Camera.
Yeah, that you take pictures of the ghosts, and that's how you do damage to them. So I get through the beginning of the game. I have my camera weapon. I'm loaded it with film. We're good to go. Walking through a hallway in this really old, like rundown, decrepit Japanese home, and I turn the corner, and I'm like, okay, I gotta do horror game shit. And this Fatal Frame still had like the tank controls synonymous with like Resident Evil games, which I have gripes with, but that's another story. So I'm navigating through that, and as soon as I turn the corner, because there's a sliding door that I want to go through, surprise, surprise, a ghost just comes through the fucking wall, and he's like slow, and he's just fucking. "Ooh." I'm like, holy shit! So like now, because this is why they have fucking tank controls, I'm trying to get away from it, so I'm moving away. But because we're tank controls and it's a fixed camera angle, I'm moving towards it. I'm like, no, that's not what I want. So I start fumbling with the controller, and I flip the camera, which puts you in first person mode, but locks you in place. And I'm like trying to get this shit in frame, like I'm trying to take a good Instagram photo. I'm like fucking trying to get the max combo. Eventually, he deals damage to me, but eventually I send him to the afterlife with my camera, and that shit got me. I was a lot younger then, so that got me all kinds of stress. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. We'll come back to this game. And I turned it off, and the next time I went back to the game was on my PlayStation 3, and that lasted all but an hour because on that night my PlayStation caught the green light of death.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So my next return to Fatal Frame was on the PlayStation 3, and that only lasted an hour before my PS3 committed self-deletion. So
Wow. That's what.
yeah. So that got me. It's fucking ain't no PT, but fucking
Yeah, that's what.
that scared 12-year-old me pretty hardcore. But yeah, that's about it for me. Like I said, I'm kind of in the same camp as Kong. I love horror. Like fucking give me that PT shit. I'm mad I missed out on that. Like give me that horror shit. Give me that slow burn. get in my head and make me like when he said that he took a moment to collect himself and just like think about the experience he had. That's how I feel after I watch or read or view like great horror, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Not a lot of this jump scare stuff that passes for horror. So I'm glad for that. That was top quality chef's kiss stuff.
And that was me just telling
yeah,
you
yeah.
about it. Like, and
Right,
that's how
I'm like
impactful it
fucking
was.
I'm jazzed like hearing that story. It has the opposite effect on me. I'm like, oh man, I'm never gonna. No one's ever gonna get to experience what could have been the full game.
Well, if you got $800 laying around, you could buy a PS4 with it already loaded on there.
I mean, it's either that or what? Get the $1,000 PS5s. I don't know. But yeah, those are my major jump scare moments. I love hearing your guys. Wolf, hit us with one more if you got it.
So my last one is also Fatal Frame, but it wasn't more like a jump scare. It was more like I'm not about to do this to myself. it, it was my final resolution to understand that I am not equipped to play horror games. I think it was Fatal Frame 3.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was Fatal Frame 3, and the aunt's husband at the time, who's also into horror games, he loves those things. He was like, I should try it as my introduction to playing, creepy games and stuff. And the way that the game started, so I'm in my living room at the time. My mother is in the kitchen and she's cooking. So I load up the game and I get to, I believe it's Fatal Frame 3. I could be wrong, but in the beginning, it's two sisters that come
Fatal Frame
across this
2.
creepy town.
That's
Two.
Yeah.
Two. Okay, so it was two. And in the trailer, the two sisters, one of them steps forward in the beginning movie, like the first, the way, the cinematic that starts the story.
Yeah.
So in the cutscene, she steps forward and her sister reaches out and puts her hand on her other sister's shoulder. So the camera pans to the side where you see the arm stretched out on the sister's shoulder, and you see the girl who has the arm on her shoulder. And as the girl turns around to pay attention to her sister for grabbing her shoulder, the sister walks forward while the hand is on her fucking shoulder. And all my mother heard me say was, fuck no. Off. She came out of the kitchen. She came out of the kitchen. She's like, "What did you say?" I was like, "I said forget it. I said forget it." And that was it. It wasn't
That's
a jump
funny.
scare. It was not a jump scare in any way, shape, or form. But it was my final resolution that
Throwing those
I
white
knew
flag.
in myself that horror games is not for me. That is the creepiest
That's
cutscene that I have ever witnessed in a horror game. I mean, going back to Bioshock, it took me 6 months to beat it. It was like constant build up.
And that wasn't even a horror game.
It wasn't supposed to be.
It wasn't supposed to be. But Fatal Frame, that one cutscene alone, the beginning cutscene on them entering the village. I think they were looking for their mother or another sister or something like
I
that.
believe so. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it was a family member they were looking for. When the sister walked forward and the hand was still on the other sister's shoulder, nah, not for me, not for me. Mm-mm. I turned that game. That's the furthest I've ever gotten in a Fatal Frame game. The
Oh,
furthest.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. So
fair enough.
I've retired horror games permanently.
So
Your turn.
before Esoteric goes, I remember a time where you, Wolf, came over to my house to hang out or something, or to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know what it was. This was a long time ago. And I had Fatal Frame 2 on the original Xbox. And I was like, hey, you want to play? And you were like, no. And then I put it up. I put it in anyway. And
what are you, stupid?
I'm playing the game, and he's like in the corner, like
Yeah, I was jumping. I was like, honestly, horror stuff I just don't do well with. I don't do well with, and I don't, again, like, Gunnar made a very good point. There's your Freddy Krueger, your, Jason, Mike Myers, whatever. You got those. To me, those are not horror by any
Those are
standard.
slasher
Like,
films, anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
like those things don't scare me. You understand? Like, I don't find them to be creepy or anything. I don't find even like the ones that are coming out that's supernatural, um like these ghost ones or these really really weird ones.
Like the Conjuring series, the stuff like
Right.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't really find
Okay.
those scary as well. To me, I don't find them scary because they're too reliant on jump scares, in
Right.
my
Mhm.
personal opinion. It has to be more more indulgent story for me to really really get me. Like, when I saw the movie The Ring didn't really have jump scare. It had jump scares, but it didn't really have jump scares. But what scared me about The Ring was the whole premise of simply watching the tape and dying in a few days, knowing that the main character is under this pressure because she went ahead and watched the tape. Like, The Ring scared the shit out of me that I ended up watching season 1 and 2 of Sailor Moon right after.
That's a
That is the
Wow.
gayest
good
thing I've ever
counter.
heard you say.
What a transition.
Yeah. So, like, I had to really flip it. I mean, I was at my father's house. My little sister is into anime, but she's not into, Dragon Ball Z. No, she likes Sailor Moon. I needed something colorful to watch. YouTube didn't exist at the time. Fuck it. It was 2 seasons of Sailor Moon, or I could not sleep that night.
Damn
Like,
it.
The
I mean,
Ring to me is true horror.
That's a good
Um,
movie.
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
The what's it called? The Shining to me is true horror. Like,
Yeah.
those are really horror stuff. But because it's just the way that the setup on your mind is just like, it really messes with you. I've never thought of red rum backwards being murder until I saw The Shining. Like, it wouldn't register to me
Hmm.
in that way. So it's just, yeah, not for me. I don't do that. So I'm good. Your turn, Esoteric.
Damn. Well, I like Sailor Moon, by the way. So
Nothing wrong with Sailor
I
Moon.
completely understand. I completely understand why you went from horror to Sailor Moon real quick.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys would constitute this as a horror moment, but for me, I was scared shitless when it happened. Okay, just to give y'all a little context, I'm sure y'all all played the game. I could be wrong, but I am gonna go with the first Batman Arkham Asylum, right?
Hmm.
Oh, I
And
know which villain you're going for.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about Scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay, so Scarecrow didn't necessarily scare me per se. It was what happened in a particular sequence that I went through, right? So this was a long time ago, but all I remember was building up to getting to the Scarecrow, walking through another corridor. It's like the theme of this goddamn podcast, horrors and corridors, right? And I'm walking through the corridor, and then all I saw was my game glitch on me. I literally jumped. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What's wrong with my system? I was so afraid because I thought like my system was messed up. I don't know if you guys remember that part or if you guys played
I
Asylum.
I
I
did.
I
could have sworn
did,
you guys
but
I
did.
beat Asylum.
Hmm.
I do remember the part, but Scarecrow was vague to me. It wasn't one of the memorable ones for me.
Well,
No.
there was a particular part where as you're walking to face him, the game glitches
I think I
and it
remember something
stays
like
for
that.
like a good minute. And I'm trying to figure out, like, listen, I didn't even save. I don't even remember if it had autosave at the time. I didn't save. The PS3 cost a lot of money because it was the fat PS3. And I was literally panicking because I thought everything messed up. Like everything was like broken. I didn't know what to do. And then while I was panicking, then it transitioned to a whole nother scene where Batman, if I'm not mistaken, is being driven to the asylum as if
Yeah,
he's
it's
crazy.
a twist on the beginning, on the opening scene of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like again, I wouldn't constitute that as horror,
I
but
mean,
in my personal experience, I was
but dude,
scared
no, no,
shitless
no.
because
I agree. You get into the real world horror, like, dude, this is $600
Mhm.
right here.
exactly.
That's some real
So
world horror.
I was really shook. Those type of things, real like, it really gets me when they kind of like make things seem like they're broken within the game through real time, like breaking the what is it,
Fourth
the
wall. Fourth,
yeah, the
the fourth
fourth
wall.
wall. When they do shit like that, it really gets me.
Hey
So
man, if that made you like sit up and your blood pressure spiked a little bit, I say it constitutes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a
okay,
scare
Yeah.
because you think something is wrong with your console. That's
yeah,
always a scare.
the fat PS3, $600, the 60 GB hard drive, playing Batman Arkham Asylum, arguably one of the best games on this console, in my opinion. And you get to a decent part, and it just acts all finicky. Yeah,
Hmm,
yeah, the horror for me.
fair enough.
All right. So I'll end things off with another, I guess, more recent one. And I don't remember who was a part of it. By the way, there's no ghost here. The lights do turn off after about 60 minutes, just in case you were wondering. Um, and the game is The Forest, which ended up being
It's another game I don't know
Fuck that
how
game.
you play that
one
game,
of my
son.
favorite.
Fuck that game. I don't care.
So
That game ain't shit.
I think the first night that we played it together, I think it was me, Esoteric, Ty, who's not here in the podcast, and Wolf. Did you play it the first night?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did have a 4-man squad. So just to give, for those who maybe didn't never play the game or doesn't know anything about it, it is a horror survival game where you play as a character who is in a plane crash, and you crash into this desolate island, or at least you think it's abandoned, but it's not. So you crash land there, and you're the only survivor. And if you're playing multiplayer, it's you and your friends who survive. So now you're on this island, and you have to gather supplies and just try to survive and find a way out, off the island. And there's a day-night cycle, and this is important. This is imperative to the story. So we we crash land, we get to the island, we're there, we're gathering materials, gathering batteries and band-aids and all this other shit, and it's still daylight, and I'm like, okay, well, we should find a place to camp. So we find a place to camp, we kind of set up a little bullshit, a treehouse or something, and it's still daylight. So I'm like, okay, well, we should just get more supplies, right? So we go back to the plane site, to the crash site, and we're gathering supplies or whatever, and it's getting dark quickly. And I'm like, okay, let's just get as much as we can. We're gonna need as much supplies as possible, right? And typically things don't come out until a few days, but that's not what happened. So it gets really dark. Like the sun is like just a few inches away from setting officially, and we're like, okay, let's leave. But in this game, there isn't like a modern map to where it's like, okay, this is where you need to go. Like you have to kind of figure it out as though it was a real map. So we were kind of like lost. Like, shit, where do we camp? I think somewhere down this way. Okay, let's walk. And so we're walking. It's getting darker and darker. And then I don't know about the other guys, but I was playing with a headset, and so in my headset, like you can hear more subtle sounds than you would if you were playing on your television with speakers. So all I hear in the background and like the distance is just like these guttural like caveman sounds, and I'm like, oh shit, they're close. And because it's dark, you can kind of any illumination, even from afar, you can see obviously. So there are cannibals in this game. This tribe of people who eat other people. And one of the leaders usually wears like effigy of skulls and bones on his back with a lamp on the top. So I see him, and they're just running in circles. And so I just see this light running in the distance, and I'm like, fuck, they're over there. Let's run. We gotta book it. So we all start running, and then all of a sudden it starts raining, and I'm like, oh shit.
It was like you're gonna get back to the camp, but I'm going to make it extremely hard for you.
Yes.
That's how the game was. It felt like at that moment.
The game's luck was essentially like, are you lucky for surviving this crash? Like, luck was a
Yeah.
matter of perspective, because now playing the game is like, yeah, you had shitty luck. You should have died on that plane with the rest of the passengers and kept it moving. The
They're the
end.
lucky ones. They're
Yeah,
the lucky
they're the
ones.
lucky ones.
So it's raining. It's completely pitch black at this point. We have our little bullshit torches, like our little flashlights, but it's like low tier flashlights, and we hear the sound like the and you hear the footsteps. You hear these guys running, and I just tell them, just run, just follow me, and I'm just running. I'm not even looking to where these guys are. I'm just running to where I think the base camp is, and I forget who gets lost, but somebody gets left behind.
I got lost.
Somebody got, so it was Wolf. He got lost,
I
and
got lost.
I'm like, fuck, we gotta try and retrieve him. And then we make it back to camp, but now the cannibals are circling our camp, and they're like climbing the trees. And so through the treehouse, I can look through the window and I could see them climbing the other trees, trying to get onto our treehouse. And just like chanting and like screaming at us from the outside of the fucking treehouse or whatever, and we're trying to retrieve Wolf, and we're like, this is a fucking disaster. And then I remember we somehow survive. We're at the campfire, we sleep. I was like, okay, well, we could just sleep even though they're outside. We could just sleep and then de-aggro. So we do that, and after that, I remember, like, I don't know who said it, but somebody was like, I can't play this game. Like, I can't play this fucking game.
I couldn't. I'm sorry. I'm done.
And I was like, nah, come on, give it a chance. Give it a chance. Like, it was a bad decision on my part to keep getting supplies. Let's just keep going. Let's just try to complete one objective. And we have to like enter these caves to get supplies.
It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like the game,
So
there's no positive progression.
That's where I lost it. That's where I lost it. When we got into the goddamn cave, and it was pretty like manageable. Everything was fine. It was quiet, calm, collected, and then all you see is these goddamn cave dwellers just come running at you and shit. I was like, let's get the hell out of here. I didn't make it, of course. The black guy don't make it.
Like, I was over it.
Look at it. I was like, oh my
I was
God.
over that game real quick.
yeah, I could
I was
tell.
over that game
I could
really
tell.
quick.
The game was stressful. It was really stressful.
So we go down to the caves, and I'll make this quick. We go down to the caves. It's dark as fuck, but it's okay. For me, it's exhilarating. It's fun. It's like, oh man, what are we gonna run into? And for these guys, it's like, what are we gonna run into? Like, it's a totally different demeanor, and and like Esoteric said, like the cave dwellers, which are like bluish cannibals, they start just running and attacking you or whatever, and we beat them and we get through, right? Because it's 4-on-2 or whatever, and we get to the point where we find a mutant, which is just a giant deformed humanoid creature, and I think it was the Virginia, which is like this woman spider thing, where it's like a woman's upper body, but then it's like 10 human legs at the bottom, and she's like a spider or whatever. And that's when everybody was like, yo, I can't do this. Fuck. Like, I think we beat her, but after that they were like, there's more caves, and it's like, yeah, this is just the first one. And so that was it. Like, everybody quit, threw in the towel.
It was a collective decision.
Yeah, I mean, I continued to play it. I beat the game a few times, and I even platinumed it on PlayStation 4. So I played the shit out of it. And it was scary. Like, even playing by myself, I was like, this shit is intense. So yeah, it wasn't really me shitting myself, but more so people around me shitting themselves. And I was spooked as well, but not in the same way. So yeah, that was my last story. I thought that I would wrap it up with that one, because a lot of people were involved in that particular story.
So I
Or
wasn't going crazy because it was late at night when we were playing, and you know, I didn't recollect that big ass thing. Like I remembered it, but I'm thinking maybe it was just late at night. Maybe I wasn't
No, that was the thing.
seeing what I was
That was
seeing.
the thing.
Okay.
Blocked it out of his brain.
That was the thing. So
yeah, that was a thing, and that was a no. Um, Another experience that we all experienced. Actually, we were all on the same team. Was when my first experience with Dead by Daylight.
oh, that's a.
Was it Dead by Daylight?
I mean,
Is it Dead by Daylight?
where you play as the
Can you
killer, and
give us some
then yeah,
context?
like it could, it
Yeah.
probably was.
No, when um we were all on the same team, and I was the last to survive. I was hiding in the locker.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dead by Daylight.
yeah,
Yeah,
DBD.
that,
Yeah, Dead
Yeah.
by
yeah.
Daylight. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. So I won't get into details with that, but I just wanted to know if you guys still had the clips. Maybe we can clip it at the end of the podcast for everybody else to watch it. Um, as why I don't play horror games.
I have it on my Facebook. I can extract it and then post it as a separate video and link it in the description of this
Link it in the
video
bottom.
for those
Yeah.
who want to watch it. For sure, it was hilarious. Like this guy was like, "Fuck the one." The one line that'll always stick with me is because there's no like map or like you can't really tell where people are, and somebody had asked
Oh,
Wolf like, "Where are you?" He's like, I'm by the cows, motherfucker," or some shit. I'm by the dead cows. It's
The
like
hay. The,
I'm not a haystack.
I'm by the
the
that
haystack.
too. Yeah, I'm by the haystacks. That shit was so funny. Um, yeah, Dead by Daylight is a really fun game.
when they're not telling you to, end yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, let's wrap it up here, guys. So that was our horror moments that almost made us shit ourselves, or in Wolf's case, piss ourselves. In one particular instance. So we hope you enjoyed our stories. Let us know in the comments below any like horror moments or horror games that really impacted you, or if there were any games that like we mentioned that you also had experiences with. We'd like to hear from you. Give us a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you didn't care for it. I doubt you made it this far if you didn't care for the stories. Subscribe for more content. We could do podcasts every week. Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time is when they're published. I also stream on Twitch, kind of randomly. I don't have a set schedule just yet, but check me out on Blanka Kong on Twitch. Esoteric also streams. He streams on Logical Gamers TV on Twitch, so check him out. He streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So show some love on that channel. Yeah, and so Esoteric, where can they find us on the socials?
Right, guys. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Logical Gamers TV. Just look for the light bulb icon, and there you have it.
All right, guys. Good talk. Good talk. Appreciate it.
Take it easy.
All right. Take
Take
care,
it
guys.
easy.